Yes, YouTube, we are back with another episode of UK Prison Stories, brought to you by Bolts, Bars and a Bit of Bird. My name's Kyle Aldred, you all know that. As promised from the last video, we're hitting you up with a reaction video to the wrong-uns that permeate the prison system. The absolute little weasels that could be your next door, could be your bunkmate. You could be best pals with him on yard and you'll never know because they're little scummy little liars. These ones are on Rule 43, these ones are under protection, yeah? These ones have had to go to prison and say, put me downstairs for my own protection because everybody knows what sort of a scummer I am. All different names for them. Bacons, wrong-uns, apists, you name it, they've got a name for it. And rightly so. I mean, we're all wrong, ain't we? Yeah, if you're in prison, you're all wrong. We've all committed crime. We've all hurt someone along the way, or many people along the way. But these people, you know, we're talking of the worst of the worst. Hurting kids, hurting women, like sex, like, you know. How you getting that sort of, like, how you getting rock hard through hearing someone else's screams is beyond me. And here's what a screw thinks of them. He works for them every day. Let's get it on.
That if it were law and I were given the instruction to do so, I would hang them. There are people on this landing, if I were given the instruction, I would take away and I would put into a hospital because they should never be on this landing in this prison.
Nobody likes them. It's as simple as that. Nobody likes them. He works for them every day. God, mate, he's great. Things you would hear. I personally wouldn't be able to do it. So all hats off to him because someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it, ain't they?
C1 Landing, Strangeways Prison, a place where inmates are labelled by their fellow prisoners as beasts.
Well, we call them nonces and beasts, right? And we find out little bits of stories go around. We'll wait a week, and if it's true, they own cons and they sort it out. They have the...
I didn't believe Lemmy from Motorhead had such deep feelings towards them. What was he doing in Strangeways as well?
Their own code here, their own way of doing things.
Any prisoner known to be on C1 Landing is automatically subject to suspicion, contempt, and if possible violence. It means they're under constant supervision in case they're attacked.
If they come on C-Wing or any wing, the lads will remove them themselves. It sounds strange, but I can't say this, but the cons will go up to the man and really give that man a beating. May cut him by beating him up, you know, and they'll go running to the PO for protection.
I thought John Lennon was all about peace and love as well. I mean, Jesus Christ, even he hates them. I say everyone hates them. John Lennon, Lemmy, what other celebrities don't like them? I've just got to say quickly, I'm not going to keep interrupting during this bit, but when you're in there, you become quite a good judge of character, like by judging people and what they look like. People say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but when you're inside, you look at someone like him and you go, well, what are you in for? You don't look like an armed robber. You don't look like you've just had a fight outside a pub. You're clearly not a barber. There's some bad haircuts in this, mate. You ain't got the arsehole to climb through a window. What crime have you done? So what are we left with? What are we left with? You're not rich enough to be a fraudster. What's left? That's how you work people out when you banged up behind the door. You look at someone like that and you go, well, what are you in for? You're not a top shotter. You're not a fucking OG gangster. You know what I mean? You're not a debt collector. What are you in for? Crimes against haircuts.
Prison is a place of conformity to rules, official ones and unofficial ones. They're both just as important for survival. When a prisoner needs protection, as this man does, it is Prison Rule 43A.
How did you come to get the bruise on your face? Who gave you it?
Black Guy Friday.
Yeah.
I was swapping artists in the morning. I put the blow on the back of my head and then turned around, he never stood there and then punched in the face twice, you know.
Well, all right. Provisionally, I will put you on Rule 43. Well, this has got to be approved by the Board of Visitors, but I shall put you on Rule 43A.
They tried to murder me this morning, sir. Carve me up, you know.
Did they?
Yes. I wrote it down, sir.
Do you know exactly what Rule 43 means?
Yes, sir.
Well, you tell me. Yeah, well, you tell me, so that I...
43 protection.
Yeah. And what does it mean, though?
Fear on good for the benefit of other prisoners.
You realise you'll be in a cell with two men?
Yes, I am.
And other than the exercises, you may not be out of your cell during the day.
Well, can I say something, sir?
Right, sir.
My mother was 72 last week, you know, and I'm due for a visit. She could have come down yesterday, but she was busy, you know. She'd probably be down today, see. Could I have an open visit, sir?
If you're on Rule 43, it will be a closed visit. It's the only way I protect you.
Yes, so you know, she's not able to do it.
I know your mother is 72, you've told me this. But if you want Rule 43 for protection, I cannot guarantee protection on an open visit. So it will be a closed visit. But I'll give you Rule 43.
I was on protection in Walton for nothing at all, sir, and I went back in the main side.
You're now in Manchester,
yes,
not in Walton.
Yes,
if
sir.
you want Rule 43, I will grant you it. But you will have closed visits. Is that quite clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, then.
The thing about these people as well, you know, it's hard to like, don't tar everyone with the same brush and all that. Yeah, I get that. But it's so ungrateful. He's so ungrateful, isn't he? You've been beat up. You've run and grassed everyone up. You want to go on the numbers, but you want special privileges while you're on the numbers. He's not grateful for being protected and having being a little snitch. You know what I mean? Like he wants to have an open visit. He wants to. I know what Rule 43 is, Gov. It's like, we'll be a bit grateful, isn't it? You run to them like a little rat, and they're obliging you. But why are they going to break their own rules for you? See the way that screw's looking as well with the mad mullet chops. No one, like, you can tell from his eyes he's thinking, fuck. Like, I know they've got to work with him every day, but you can just tell they don't like him. It's like old Bill, isn't it? Do you think they really like snitches? The people that they're paid informants? Do you think they really like them? Do you think they think you low-life scumbag, grassing up your own mates? You know what I mean?
A minority of these prisoners are informers, tobacco barons, as well as inmates who have been threatened.
Tobacco barons.
The majority are men whose crimes send a shudder through our society. Every prison has them. They are sex offenders. These men are segregated from the rest of the prison. They exercise in separate areas and at separate times. When they return, it is to their own landing. A former army regular, prison officer Derek Talbot, is dedicated to the ethic of unquestioning obedience. Supervising the untouchables of Strangeways is just part of the job.
Do you want some fruit with that, pal, or what?
Well, sometimes it's hell and other times it's all right. You know, well, only whenever you're locked up here 23 hours and sometimes 24 hours a day. That's not very nice.
Like, when you come down here, they automatically picture you as a beast, you know, they think, oh, you're in for fiddling with kids, or, you know...
You wait till he says what he's actually in here for, mate. Oh, they all... You go on Rule 43, everyone thinks you're a wrong 'un. Yeah?
Young girls or young lads, you know, things like that.
Oh, it's true, we're classed as beasts. Animals. And there's more animals up the stairs than what there is down here.
Sort of conditions we've got to put up with down here on C1 is one instance about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was sort of mashing the potatoes. It was on a Friday, and I found a worm inside the potatoes. Now, obviously, that's been placed in by the kitchen lads.
Prison is not a society that fosters.
I worry about what else you haven't found in there, mate. Stuff that can't be seen. Bodily fluids. Fuck though, I'd eat the worm happily rather than... Bleh.
Tolerance. The sex offender is everybody's scapegoat. In this closed world, their crimes are unacceptable, even to other criminals. Arguments about the nonces, as they are called, frequently take place amongst ordinary cons.
I'd done 16 months in prison, and I come up for my first parole interview, you know, to say whether I've got parole or I haven't got it. And there's 2 sex cases come up with me, 2 and 4 years, been pissing about with kids. Get parole first time.
For the simple reason that
Yes, but they've been in frigging prison before and they got it.
Yeah,
they got parole before.
But they go through hell in here.
Well,
this bit on the food.
What do you mean they go through hell? They're 43s, I've been down there, I've watched them.
I know, but they still go through hell.
Do they, hell?
If you're banged up 24 hours, take 23 hours.
The point is, the one that went up with me had been in prison before and he got parole first time.
But taking the landing as a whole,
yeah.
Just as a quick one, I mean, that geezer wants to watch himself, the one that actually like sounds like he's sticking up for him. Yeah, but they banged up 24 hours a day and they get beaten up and people spitting their food. He says that in front of a group of men that feel strongly against them people. They could switch on him, and you sort of think, well, you'd have asked for that one, mate.
I don't think, and I don't see any reason why they should all be tarred with the same brush. You get the cons coming down the far side of the landing.
Yeah.
You get officers stood there. It's beast, animal. Why? Why?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, but let's be fair. It's the offences, isn't it?
Right, it's the offences. I could show you now.
I said before, I've got no great liking
Right,
for
I
these
could
guys.
show you now proof of at least half a dozen to 10 people on this land.
Or I'm not down here for a sexual
Right, they
offence.
come into this prison. They can't live with the bully boys up in the main prison.
So they put themselves on Rule 43
So
just to
they
get down here.
To get down and get out of the way. Now, but what are we going to call them? We've called them 43As because they've asked for protection. But are they to be classed then as beasts, animals? They get called this.
When you get this box to all that cell doors and everything, you've got to wipe it up every time you swap it out.
Well, what about me? I mean, it's obvious, I'm not going to say what.
No, but you've been belted.
You know what I mean?
I know you've been belted, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think that's from then? What were you doing?
What do you mean what I've done? I haven't done anything.
No, but having been belted yourself, don't you feel it's a bit rough if you take it on
to to them it's only larking about, isn't it? That's not the same thing that's entirely different altogether.
You've still got the bruises to show for it.
Huh?
You've still got the bruises to show for it.
It's different, isn't it? It's not the same thing. I mean they're not meaning to hurt me like a nonce case, like a sex case.
It's not, but the pain's still there, isn't it? You still feel it. It's still making your bird drag.
The reason why the rest of the prison hates them, I think, mainly it's tradition. This is expected of them. One.
Disagree totally, because even prisoners have got kids. Yeah, even a prisoner's got a wife or a girlfriend, and they've grown up and they've got little brothers, little sisters, or cousins, or whatever. It's just in you, innit? It's like, even if you ain't got kids, it's sort of in you, because we're born to reproduce, ain't we? That's part of why we're here. So it's in you. You think, you dirty bastard. You know what I mean? It's saying deep inside you that's why when people talk about things on the news, when a kid's mentioned, people were up in arms about it. People can live with a lot of shit, but you start messing around with children, it's just in people to, like, there's no justification, is there?
A good 93, 94, 95 maybe % of the prison population, prison staff I mean, dislikes these blokes just as much as the cons like. Just as the cons.
Yeah, but this doesn't matter because prison staff are not in this prison to like and dislike. They are here to do a job.
Exactly, and we all do the job, don't we? And we all do it the way we see it should be done.
Yes.
It doesn't mean to say that I've got to like these guys.
And you've got to remember this also. Some of the lads on the 43s aren't sex cases at all.
No.
They're in for their own protection.
Oh, the government's put them on. Oh, the government's put them on.
You only have to get on the wrong side of a tobacco barrel to get on the 43s.
Well, we know that.
Well then, you know what I mean? And then you go up to the guy and go, beastie, and smack him on the nose, you know what I mean? And the poor guy's done nothing to deserve it. Because you don't see the files, you don't know what he's done when he comes in there. Because he's put behind that door, you presume automatically it's a sex case.
I honestly don't understand that geezer is sort of like fighting. He's the minority, the one with talking sense about they're beasts, they're this, they're that, they deserve it. He's like the minority. The other two geezers are half sticking up for him. It's weird, mate.
The reason why I'm in prison is I committed indecent assault on a 9-year-old child, and which I know is, according to people outside, it's a serious offence.
According to people on the outside?
When these things happen, we don't think it's a serious offence, but the courts outside takes it as a serious offence. It all depends on what offence you commit. So what my offence was indecent assault, which is I've been at it for years.
What sort of offences have you?
Well, just indecent assault, just touching them, nothing more.
Touching children?
Yes. That's all I said. Never go any further than that. I can get no.
He doesn't feel like he's done anything wrong. This is what's dangerous. Yeah, I didn't do nothing more than that. It's just a little, as if he was like slapping their asses when they were walking past. And the pit, and you know, there's more animals upstairs than what there is down there. You know, society thinks it's really bad, but we don't down here. Well, yeah, we know you don't. And again, look at him. Look at the look. Even if he was a liar and he wasn't admitting anything. What are you actually in here for, mate? That's when your intuition comes in, and you've got to start trusting it. And you think, oh, no, stay away from him. Look at him.
No feeling. I have no sexual feeling. Whenever it comes on me, or they get too close to me, before I know it, I have my hand on them. I don't plan it. I don't, it just all of a sudden, it just happens all of a sudden. If you try to get rid of what I mean. I know it's very hard for other people to understand what we do, So, before you realise what you're doing, it's done.
Comfort me through all this madness. Don't bring me in your arms and I'll find you.
Well, I'm learning something.
Yeah, but this is different than this.
Don't blame it on the needle drops. Nothing to do with the tools.
We'd also get better than that, we'll send you home.
The reason I'm here in Strangeways is due to the fact the nature of the offence I committed is grievous bodily harm, causing grievous bodily harm to a 23-month-old child who belonged to a woman I was living with. He was the youngest of 4. As far as I can sort of pinpoint, the reason the offence was committed is the stress I was living under. A lot of pressures from outside, not being able to find work, conditions I was living under, more or less of a slum type of conditions. I was looking after the 3 youngest children. It's one at 2, one at 4 and one at 7. And the one at 2 started crying. I tried consoling him, giving him a bottle, but unfortunately there was nothing to put in the bottle, and it was just continuing, and unfortunately I just lost control of my temper, I know it sounds bad, but it's more or less as though he was a scapegoat for, for something for me to take it out on,
What happened?
Well, I just sort of felt I couldn't take any more, I just started striking out with a clenched fist. And, I can't honestly say how many times I hit him. But as far as the bruising goes, it could have been any number of times,
I'm not sure how many times I hit him. He totally lost control. I've done that with a grown man, and I've had grown men do it to me. Just punch, 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 punch. I've seen it happen. A 23-month-old baby. It's not even 2. Be like a rag doll after the first hit, wouldn't it? Just imagine, he lost it that bad that he can't even remember how many times he hit this baby. And he was like, oh yeah, this is the stuff we have to endure down here, blah blah. They paint us all with the same brush. He's worse than the other geezer. The other geezer, alright, he might have got away with whatever else, but he's in there for touching. This geezer, he's worse than that. He's worse than him, in my eyes anyway. How could you punt?
When I seen the psychiatrist in Risley, he told me if it had gone any longer, I couldn't be facing a murder charge. As soon as the mother come home, I told her all about it. She, obviously, she had a deep feeling for me, and it's a very strong relationship. And she wanted to just sort of hide it, and try and work out, some way out of it. But I told her straight away, to phone an ambulance and sort of ring up the police.
She sounds like a good mum.
The inspector from the CID, he come down into the charge office. He asked me to take my glasses off, and he asked me how old the child was, connected with the offence. And when I told him he was 23 months old, he just started, he set about thunting me. This lasted for about 3 or 4 minutes. Then I was put into the cell. As in Risley, I'm remand for about 4 months. Then eventually I was sentenced in July of last year.
How much?
2 years, 4 months.
That's nothing.
It is much easier to...
I get longer than that. I've got longer than that repeatedly for burglary. I'm not trying to downplay burglary at all, but a set of car keys or beating a 23-month-old. I got 5 years for a set of car keys. He got 2 years, 4 months. I've got 2 years, 4 months as well for a burglary. What's worse? What's worse? Something like that deserves GBH, not ABH. GBH is the worst one, yeah? The next step above that is like attempted murder. Yeah, he deserved double figures at least. At least. All these geezers that are doing IPP for robbing phones when they were 16 and all that, and they're still in jail like 20 years later because of the IPP, how it works. He got 2 years, 4 months.
To condemn the sex offender in our society than to understand or cure him. There are no simple solutions to long-standing problems of neglect, inadequacy, obsession. Least of all in the human warehouse that is Strangeways, where gross overcrowding places impossible demands on welfare and psychiatric services. Sex offenders, like other prisoners, are eligible for early release, that special freedom on license, known as parole.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Strangeways local review.
There's always a group of people that like these.
Decide whether a prisoner can be trusted to begin his life again in the community. The committee is made up of a member of the Board of Visitors, an assistant governor, a probation officer, and 2 independent members. A prisoner is not allowed to come and state his case in person. He will have made a written plea and been interviewed by a committee member. A portrait of...
I just want to say quickly, I know I've paused it untold times, but this gets me going. I was never given parole either. I know I've been banged up a few times, but even the first time, second time, I was never given parole, let out on tag, ever. Never, ever, ever, ever. Yeah? Even when I was doing 6 years and I did every single course going, yeah? Every single course going. You got to do these courses, they'll lower your risk and all that blah, 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 blah. None of it works. I passed every single course and I didn't get out. Didn't get parole. My first sentence I didn't get tag, and I've never got a DCAT after the first sentence. They always said I wasn't eligible. The geezer they're discussing is a repeat offender, yeah. And everyone knows there's always a group of people that like these sort of people, and you're looking at them right now.
The fate of the offender is supposed to emerge from these written reports. The board will now consider whether to release a man convicted of a serious sexual assault on a boy.
He has a history which shows a personality disturbance, including sexual problems, going back to his teenage experiences in a approved school many years ago. He has difficulties in sustaining personal relationships and has suicidal tendencies under extreme pressure. His present offence is an extremely violent and serious one, but it is out of character with his previous criminal record, and perhaps would reflect on the severe personal crisis, socially and financially, which he was undergoing at the time of its commission. Since his stay in Manchester prison, however, he has seen Dr. Campbell on 5 separate occasions. In Dr. Campbell's opinion, the prisoner seems well motivated for the behaviour therapy and outpatient psychotherapy which Dr. Campbell would be willing to give him, and which is not available in Manchester prison. But it did seem to me that prison was not the place for him. Community must be protected, of course, but that if he is agreeable and Dr. Campbell is agreeable, it would seem the sooner he starts his treatment, the better.
So you're saying yes?
I am saying yes on condition that it is that he continues with his medical treatment or has further medical treatment. That must be a condition, otherwise he isn't safe to be out.
If you look at Dr. Campbell's letter, in his last sentence, he says that if this chap were to be paroled, he would not present, or he wouldn't be likely to present, a serious risk to the community. And in particular, he wouldn't present a serious risk to boys.
I mean, undoubtedly at the moment he is a danger, as he is at the moment. But if he stays in prison, he is not going to get the treatment that he needs.
Mr. Pastor? Well, I would like to stress that this is a serious sexual offence against a child. I'd also point out that in here, the prisoner's been on Rule 43 for his own protection and at his own request, which means he doesn't get a lot of chance to develop socially with other prisoners, and that means that he can stand still in many ways. The point about treatment, well, he is receiving some kind of treatment in here. The SMO indicates that he is being seen by he's under psychiatric review regularly. So to some extent, whatever treatment is lined up for him on the outside could happen anyway, irrespective of whether he gets parole or not. And I'd also like to say that treatment for sex offenders is a very haphazard business. I wouldn't like to bet one penny on successful treatment for a sex offender.
I appreciate all that you say, but find that the great difficulty for us is whether we accept the things that Dr. Campbell says, that although you say he's receiving psychiatric treatment here, that it isn't what he should be having. It is not available to him in Manchester Prison. So what you're saying, Mr. Pascoe, is that he could get along with whatever psychiatry he's having at the moment until such times as he comes out on a shorter licence, and then let Dr. Campbell have him.
I suppose what I'm saying is that the only absolutes are that if you keep him in for another 12 months, the world is safe for another 12 months.
Right.
The treatment is a vague thing. It may work, it may not. Different types of treatment. He's having one kind of treatment in here. We have an expert who says that perhaps another type of treatment might work. The other clear factor is that the older you get, to put it crudely, the less sexual you get.
I don't think I go along with all that Mr. Pascoe is saying about... I'm not with him on his reservations altogether. I think that I would be reasonably happy with this man getting parole if I felt that the possible sources of further stress to him were mitigated, and we were sure they were going to be mitigated.
I think it's a very, very difficult thing for us to decide, since we are medical people, and the thing that we have to do is to protect the community. That's really our first job.
It's one of our jobs.
One of our jobs, yes, but especially little boys. I find it very, very hard.
Well, I do think it's decision time.
It is decision time.
And I do think we've actually got to make our minds up.
You can clearly see that there is only one of those group on that table, one person that has kids, the Deputy Governor. I can't believe that the Deputy Governor is the only one talking sense. The woman, she's shocking, isn't she? She's shocking. She is shocking. She like screwed up her face when he was like, this is a little child. Another 12 months, the world's safer. Kids are safer. She's not having none of it, mate. She's not having none of it. The natural, the nurturer, the woman that is the nurturer, that has a baby growing in her belly for 9 months, that has that connection that no man's ever going to know, never going to even be able to come close to fathom. She's like, yeah, let him out. Let him out. Yeah, and the other geezer that's concurring with her, basically, he's like, yeah, on his last sentence, he said that he's not a risk to little boys anymore. The psychiatrist said that. Then he got out, and now he's in here for this. And you're like, yeah, but it's like, if he was put on the street in a less stressful environment, well, don't we all deserve that? Don't everybody deserve that? To be in but they don't use that as an excuse. They don't say, oh, well, you've been in a stressful environment, so we're going to give you a bit of psychiatry and put you on the street for that armed robbery, and using a really stressful, shitty situation. No one says that, but they're all like working on the basis that he's ill and he needs help. I'm straight. That geezer over there is gay. That geezer over there's. That bird over there is a lesbian. That man over there likes what he likes. All the psychiatrists in the world ain't going to help, is it? You're not going to turn me gay. You're not going to turn him straight. You're not going to turn her from a lesbian into a man lover, to a sausage eater. You know what I mean?
Yes, following on what was said about the possible difficulties around the area of employment and the pressure on him that might produce, I think I would stick with my notion that he ought to be in some sort of protective environment, if only some form of hostel.
But you're saying
and yes, and then I'll say yes.
Yes, subject to hostel.
I think I would go along with the majority decision, provided that he lives in the hostel and he has a good contact with the probation service, so they would help him with the job, presumably.
And you're saying yes.
I would agree with that.
How do you stand now, Mr. Pascoe? In a minority of one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Well done.
That bit I'd worked out. But how do you start? I mean, you're going for a minority report. You feel strongly enough to say that, in your view, this is a case where you can't agree with the majority on the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
The committee found 3-1 in favour of parole. But in such serious cases, the parole board will make the final decision.
Well, this is a super long episode. It goes. The rest of this show is another half hour long, 20 minutes long. So I think I'm going to make it a part 1 and a part 2. I'll bring out tomorrow. But yeah, you can see the whole world has a dislike for these people. But probation, I think they need help, and let them out into a less stressful environment. Put them into a hostel where he can hang about with all his other kind, and they can all be creepy together. Because that's the way to treat them, innit? It's the way to treat an absolute wrong one, is to let him out and put him in a stressful. Do everything you can to make him happy. Basically, do everything you can to make him happy. Chuck a job at him. Put him in a nice hostel. Get him a flat. Give him some money. Get him some new clothes. But just tell him, when you turn right at the school gate and don't turn left, you know what I mean? This is ridiculous. And that's why they don't give a shit. That's why they don't care, innit? They know they're going to get treated with kid gloves. And they're just going to carry on repeating, isn't they? Repeating, because they know they're going to get all the help. And they're laughing at these people. Remember what that old Irish geezer said? We don't even look at it that bad down here. I don't look at it that bad. When we're down here discussing our crimes, we don't look at it that bad. People up there do. It's quite apt as well, isn't it? The way he's saying, like, us down here and them up there. Where you deserve to be, mate. That's where you're going as well. Well, if you weren't too creeped out by that and you managed to hold your dinner in, or your breakfast, or whatever time you're watching this, then I'm sure you'll be tuning in tomorrow for part 2. And until that time, if you enjoyed that, hit the subscribe. Adios.